So the 2021 season for the Jacksonville Jaguars really could not have gone any worse than it did. The Jaguars finished with a 3-14 record, holding the number 1 overall pick for the second consecutive year. They hired and fired a first-year NFL head coach who couldn't even make it through his first year in the NFL in Urban Meyer. The Jaguars had an immense amount of injuries on both sides of the ball, and the Jaguars had one of the most controversial picks that they've had in recent memory as they took running back out of Clemson at number 25 overall, Travis Etienne. And I'm here to talk about why Travis Etienne should be running back 1 of the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars and why I was a huge supporter and big advocate for the Jaguars grabbing Travis Etienne in the 2021 draft. Now let's get into that. Now, disclaimer before I actually talk into Travis Etienne and I give my categories. Let me just say this video is not talking down on James Robinson. I'm not advocating for James Robinson to be gone from the Jaguars or for James Robinson to not get his money. Don't twist my words. I will get into that at the very end of the video. Now I'm going to break the Travis Etienne portion and the majority of this video into 3 separate sections. And the first section is going to be why the Jaguars took Travis Etienne or Urban Meyer. Point is, he's a Jaguar. Travis Etienne is a dynamic running back who can line up in the slot, and we saw Urban Meyer and the rest of this offense utilizing him in the preseason and during training camp in the slot and in different positions prior to him going down with his Liz Frank injury in the preseason where he missed his entire rookie season. Dynamic running back with speed, elusiveness, and he brings a different element to an offense. Plus he has continuity and chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence, if you remember, when he first got drafted to the Jaguars, he said he was absolutely baffled that the Jaguars took Travis Etienne, and Travis Etienne said the only place he wanted to go was Jacksonville because he knew Trevor Lawrence was going number 1 overall. He's reunited with his college running back. Travis Etienne's reunited with his college quarterback. These guys have a great bond and chemistry together that's only going to help them on and off the field, but also the fact that he could be a safety blanket for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, and the fact that, like I said, he brings a different speed, elusiveness, and element to an offense, and he's just a dynamic playmaker. That is a huge reason as to why I was a big supporter of having Travis Etienne become a Jacksonville Jaguar. Now let's get into my second category when we talk about some notable running backs in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now I know Travis Etienne was taken in 2021, but I'm going to go back a year and go to 2020. Now there's always this notion in the NFL that you don't pay a running back and that running backs aren't valued very highly. They're fairly replaceable. Now, if you want to use that statement on a guy like Leonard Fournette, by all means, that's a great example. The Jaguars took Leonard Fournette in the top 5, and you know what? We cut him before his rookie contract was up in replacement for a guy like James Robinson. That is a big reason as to why you don't take a running back that high. But the Jaguars took Travis Etienne at number 25 overall. I understand that's a first-round pick, but to me, that's not a reach. Let's look at the 2020 draft class in terms of running backs. The first running back off the board in 2020 went number 32 overall, so still a first-round pick by all means. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the Kansas City Chiefs. Great running back. Let's look at DeAndre Swift, number 35 overall to the Detroit Lions, and he'll only have a better season now that he's got another year under his belt. Plus, the Lions have gotten a lot better on offense, now adding Jamison Williams and DJ Chark to their offense. That's going to open up a lot of things for DeAndre Swift. Jonathan Taylor was a league-leading MVP candidate in the NFL this season for the Indianapolis Colts. He went number 41 overall. Cam Akers out of Florida State went number 52 overall to the LA Rams. And then A.J. Dillon went number 62 overall to the Green Bay Packers. Now, granted, are all of these guys, did they all go lower than Travis Etienne? Sure. But the Jaguars didn't take Travis Etienne in the top 10, in the top 5, not even in the top 20. And if the Jaguars want, and if he pans out, which I believe he will, Travis Etienne has a 5th-year option on him that the Jaguars can slap on him. Unlike DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers, and A.J. Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at number 32 overall will have that possibility with the Kansas City Chiefs to get a 5th-year option placed onto him. The Jaguars did not reach for Travis Etienne, and plus in 2021, the Jaguars took Tyson Campbell at number 33 overall. Maybe Travis Etienne would have been there. Maybe he wouldn't have been. We would have never known. But the Jaguars did not reach on Travis Etienne. I don't like that narrative. That's just my personal belief on it. Let's get into my third point. Now, my third point is the Jaguars were going to have multiple great running backs, and that's still the case and scenario. When the Jaguars drafted Travis Etienne, and I made that draft recap video the night that the Jaguars took Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, I was ecstatic about this pick the same way I am now over 365 days removed from the 2021 draft. You look at great running back duos across the NFL and look at how successful they are. Look at Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram at one point in New Orleans and how prolific they were. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt over with the Cleveland Browns. Look at Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, or now Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon now over in Green Bay. What about the Ravens and them always being the number one rushing attack in football with J.K. Dobbins, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards? They had Le'Veon Bell for an extended period of time. And the Jaguars really have had a solid foundation in terms of running game the last couple of seasons, and really just in recent memory from Leonard Fournette and James Robinson. They've had good running backs, and now I think having that 1-2 punch where you get a downhill running back, you get a power running back, and a guy like James Robinson who really doesn't have that home run ability, you get that with a guy like James Robinson who's shown the level of productivity that you want. Then with Travis Etienne, you get the speed, you get the elusiveness, you've got the chemistry and the safety blanket for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, and also he just brings that different dynamic to an offense. It's thunder and lightning at the running back position for me. Now let's actually address the elephant in the room with a guy like James Robinson. Like I said, I'm not talking down on James Robinson. I love James Robinson, and I love to see a story in which a guy who was an undrafted free agent comes out of nowhere and just absolutely tears it up. James Robinson is a borderline top 10 running back in the NFL. Has he shown flashes of being better than that? Absolutely. But as of right now, I'm just going to call him anywhere from like that 8 to 12 range. I think that's a fair statement as to where he is. James Robinson in 2020 signed a 3-year, $2.29 million deal and had a $25,000 signing bonus because he was an undrafted free agent, and the Jaguars didn't know what to expect out of him, even if they saw something in preseason and in training camp. That's why they elected to let go of Leonard Fournette. $2.29 million, that is dirt cheap for the level of production that you've got out of him. After this season, James Robinson will be a restricted free agent, so the Jaguars can match any offer, or they can offer him an extension, which I wouldn't mind. But let's look at the highest paid running backs in the NFL, and I'm going to go from the 8th highest paid to the 12th highest paid. Aaron Jones is averaging $12 million on average salary. Saquon Barkley, 7.8. James Conner, $7 million. Leonard Fournette, $7 million. And then you got Hines from the Colts at $6.2 million, backing up Jonathan Taylor. So if James Robinson wants to get his payday, because he hasn't really made his payday yet, and let's just say for the sake of argument, James Robinson, when his contract extension comes up, he wants to get about $10 million annually, and he wants a 3 to 4 year deal. Would I be upset with that? Absolutely not. I think James Robinson's deserved that, and especially everything that he's done for the city of Jacksonville. But if the Jaguars don't want to pay a running back, then you know what? We've got Travis Etienne. That's the reason why you drafted him. What about a guy in Snoop that we just drafted out of Ole Miss too? He's got a very similar skill set to a guy like James Robinson, and we'll have to wait to see the level of production in which he possesses. I'm not advocating for James Robinson to be gone. I'm just simply stating the facts. The facts is he's going to be a restricted free agent. Do the Jaguars want to pay him? Would I pay him? I don't know. I got to wait till the end of the season. But Travis Etienne is a dynamic playmaker who's going to be a huge integrative part to the Jaguars' success, not only this season, but moving forward. And with Travis Etienne, I really have that much faith in him. Like, this might be the one big statement as a Jags YouTuber, like, I will die on a hill by. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I have no problem admitting my wrongs. I'm a man who can admit my wrongs. But I am so uber confident that Travis Etienne will be running back one of the future for this team moving forward. And that doesn't mean that if James Robinson gets paid, that automatically means Travis Etienne can't be a running back one. I do think that this will still be a 1-2 dynamic punch for this season, possibly moving forward. But Travis Etienne, I'm so high on this guy. I know a lot of Jaguar fans hated that pick. I love that pick, and I will die on a hill by that statement. Jaguar fans, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. I know that this is a controversial pick that still hasn't really played an NFL snap yet, but what do you guys make of Travis Etienne? What do you guys expect out of Travis Etienne? And also, what do you guys think about James Robinson and the future of this team moving forward? Do you guys believe James Robinson will get paid after this season? And if so, kind of give me a gauge as to what you believe the Jaguars will do after the season, because everything is all speculation right now. But thank you guys so much for sticking around throughout the whole video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me in the channel out tremendously. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more NBA and, of course, Jacksonville Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. But Brett James, a.k.a. BJ, I'm out, y'all. Peace!